Hello, hello, my lovely Year 3 designers. In our last lesson, we began to have a look at automata. Found out about something called cams, which is kind of based on a wheel because you have a shape that turns round and they spin on an axle. And in our last lesson as design technologists this half term, we're going to make a model of some cams. So the next half term, we'll be ready to build our own automata. Let's get going. So the materials we're going to need today are like this. We're going to need one nice piece of card, a ruler, a little piece of card, some lolly sticks, 3 of those. We need some blue tack and a nail, and we need some of these split pins that split apart. We need 3 of those. And we also need, definitely some pens and a glue stick and a piece of rough old card, and you need one of these. These are pictures of different shape cams, and we're going to stick those down onto our piece of old cardboard here. Just a bit of glue on the back and stick them on. There we go. So if you like, you could work alongside me. You could stop and start the film. You can do a bit, watch a bit, do a bit. It's up to you. But whatever you decide, the next stage is to cut out your cams. So I'm cutting out the circle cam here. It's called a circle cam. You'll notice that the white dot, which is where the axle goes, is not in the centre. But these 2 other shapes, the axle is in the centre. And what's different about them is they're not circles anymore. They're different shapes. The one I just cut out is a kind of egg shape or a pear shaped, and it's in fact called a pear cam. And then this one is called a snail cam because it's in the shape of a snail's shell. And so these different shapes will make different movements. So we're ready to move on now, and we're ready to put our cams onto our piece of card. So we get our piece of card and a ruler, and I want you to line up your ruler at the bottom of your page, and I want you to make sure that the 0 is on the left hand side of how many centimetres we're on, because I want you to mark some dots on here to show where the cams are going to go. First one is find 15 centimetres, that's going to be for the middle cam. Then go back and mark 5 centimetres and 25 centimetres. That way the cams will be nicely spread across the page. Can you see those marks? So on those marks are where we're going to put some little holes, and we're going to poke little holes by putting some blue tack or plasticine behind where we want to make the hole and wiggling in a nail. If you haven't got a nail, you could use a bamboo skewer or something like that. So you poke holes in the cams using the white dots with the crosses in them to show you where to poke the hole. The circle one's right off centre, it's not in the middle, but the pear cam and the snail cam are in the middle, and you make the holes there. And then you do the same thing with your paper where you poke holes where you've made those dots. So that will match up really nicely if you've done that properly. Okay, so we've made our holes in our card, we've made our holes in our cams, and we're ready to put them together. And we poke through a split pin through the cam, we poke it through the card, and then we open it up so it splits apart. That's why it's called a split pin. Give it a little spin so that the cam can move freely. Now I want the first one that you to put on there is to be the circle cam, and then the second one is going to be your pear cam, and then the one at the far end is going to be the snail cam. Okay, now these split pins are very clever, really clever bit of design. They poke through, open out, and it means that they can't slide out again. Now we're going to add the next part of our simple machine. We're going to add the follower, and that needs to be held on with some bits of card, which are the slide or the sliders. So the follower in our little model caterpillar, they were the sticks that touched onto the cams and were moved up and down by the cams. So that's the follower. And the slider was the piece of wood with the hole in it so that the follower had somewhere to go up and down. It was kept in the same position. So what we're going to do is we're going to line up our lolly sticks so that our follower is above the cam, and then we're going to stick down using some tape our sliders. Now I found it easier to turn this round on the side, and I don't know if you can see this, but what I'm doing is I'm putting on the slide and then I'm creasing it so it sort of makes a little pocket over it. It sort of holds it in place by just rubbing my nail against it. Then I'm putting the tape on really close up to the follower. I'm not touching the follower with the tape because otherwise that will stop it moving freely. Okay, but I'm making it nice and secure. And I'm just doing the same each time. I'm putting the follower, lining it up with the cam. So this one's the pear cam. And then I am lining up the slide and I'm creasing it so it's holding the shape of the follower. There we go. And I'm just rubbing on some tape, making it nice and secure. And it's important that we have two slides on here. On the automata, it's quite a thick piece of wood, so it gave plenty of space for the follower to move up and down. And we want to do the same thing here with our slide. So lining up the last one, and we're putting it at the lowest point, so we're going to have the snaily pointy bit sticking downwards. And then we can put on our follower, exactly the same, creasing the edge, putting on our tape, and try and make it as straight as possible. Now this isn't going to work exactly as our automata, because what the automata used was another force of gravity, because the sticks would go up and down in a straight line. Now we're not going to use gravity, we're just going to turn our cams and move our followers up and down. So let's have a look at the motion here. We're turning it round and we're making an up and down movement. So we're going from what's called a rotational movement going round into a linear movement as a line going up. Let's have a go at this then. And so what we do is we can see that we're following, as we twist the cam round, we're pulling, keeping the follower touching the cam as it would on the automata and moving it up and down. Now the pear-shaped here works in a similar way. Keep the follower touching the pear-shape cam, and then it will move up and down. Have a little play with it. Okay, can we see I'm moving that round? And then this is an interesting one. This moves in a different way. It goes up, 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 and then drops. Now that's what's really interesting about that. It also will only go in one direction. It can't go in two directions. It blocks it off. So we can have a look at that. Important little cam shape there with the snail. It has to go in one direction. It can't spin in the other. And watch as it goes up and then it drops when it hits that little, it's like almost a little step, isn't it? And so the movements are different depending on the shapes of the cam. And I'm just writing in circle cam, pear cam and snail cam. It would be good if you do the same. We're writing in that this is called the follower, and we could do a little arrow pointing to that in a moment. And we're making sure we know that these bits that hold the follower in place is called the slide. Write your name on the work, and then you're going to keep this safe for next half term, because it will really help you with your wheelie clever inventions you will be making. Bye.